Hello everyone, it's Oliver Harper here and I'm back with a new Patreon Q&A and it's for the month of May. I just got back from MCM Comic Con in London. Me and Richard had a great time there. We reviewed Solo, a Star Wars story, did a Q&A on the following day where we're a little bit worse for wear. Richard probably a little bit more than me. Yeah, so I just realised it's like the 29th of May now, so I was like, shit, I've got to get the Q&A done. That's why I'm doing it now. First question is from Tom. Hey Oliver, what's a director working today who you most want to see return to form? Whether it's a long time since they made a good film, or a film that feels like it's truly theirs. I'd probably say Peter Hyams. He directed Sudden Death, Time Cop, Outland and 2010. He's not done a big movie for a long time. He did a couple of smaller, kind of low production films. I think he did one in the early 2000s. Something, I remember the title had a weird one, something of Thunder, something like that. That was supposed to be a huge bomb, and I think kind of derailed his career. But he's a director I'd like to see come back and do something really big once again, because he's a great director and a great cameraman. Next question is from Martin. Hi Oliver, I don't know if you have been asked this before. Who is your favourite director and what was the last great film you saw from said director? Always, well, I've said this a number of times, it's Richard Donner. Did Superman, The Omen, Lethal Weapon, Goonies, Ladyhawke. The last decent film he made was 16 Blocks, so then he kind of retired. So yeah, he had a good career. I mean, there's just talks of Lethal Weapon 5 and Goonies 2, but I doubt that will happen. More specifically, Goonies 2. But Lethal Weapon TV show is very popular. Obviously now they've recast the main star, which is going to bring it back for a third season, I think. And yeah, bit of an odd one, changing the lead halfway through, but. Fifth film, I don't really see happening either. The next question is from Wit. Who is your favourite production designer and which films made him/her your favourite? Favourite production designer, Guy Hendricks Dias. He did Superman Returns and Indiana Jones 4, Inception and X-Men 2. Yeah, I mean, no matter what the quality of the actual overall film is, I think he's a very versatile production designer. He can really capture anything from different periods, and when I saw the art book with Superman Returns, how he kind of translated a lot of the artwork into these massive set pieces were just incredible. So he's, yeah, probably the best production designer I kind of noticed by their work and their name. Question number 2 from Wit. What toy from your childhood did you always want but never got? Favourite toy? Probably the Batcave. The Toy Biz one from 1989 or 1990, whatever it was. I always saw it in catalogues, and because I also did a very small range for Batman. Did the Batwing and the Batmobile and a couple of figures. But the Batcave I always wanted. And when I saw it later on, like on Google with the pictures and stuff, I thought it's a piece of crap. It's a really rubbish playset. They did a better Batcave, didn't they? With the Kenner. Is it Kenner who bought the Batman license and got re-released them again and had all Batman Returns and Forever and etc. But yeah, I always wanted that Batman Toy Biz Batcave, and yeah, it goes for stupid high prices now because I don't think they made that many. But yeah, don't spend huge amounts of money on that piece of plastic because it's a load of old rubbish. Question number 3 from Wit. If you could own any prop from a film, what would it be? It has to be He-Man's Power Sword from Masters of the Universe. I go to these conventions all the time and you see, well, not that often, but I mean, you see when a stores selling replica weapons have always got Lord of the Rings, got Thundercats, they've got Blade Sword, and never He-Man's Power Sword from the film. And I believe Richard Edlund, the visual effects supervisor, owns that sword. I think it's in his office or his house. But yeah, that's the one prop I'd like to own. See, I didn't do anything predictable. I didn't go to Green Crystal from Superman or anything like that. Yeah, see, trying to catch me out. The next question is from Andre. Question number 1. Was there ever a particular special effect in the movie that scared you as a kid? A special effect that scared me? Probably the librarian ghost from Ghostbusters. I think that would be the oldest memory of being terrified. Also things like the wolf from Neverending Story and the Skeksis from Dark Crystal. And obviously Vera from Superman 3. Big robot at the end. Question number 2. Have you seen the new Cobra Kai series on YouTube, Red? And will there be a review in the future? Obviously, Andre, you are a Patreon member, so you would have seen my post from yesterday, as I am going to be reviewing Karate Kid Part 2 and the Cobra Kai series for the month of June. The next question is from Jeffrey. What are your thoughts on the Neil Marshall film Doomsday? Doomsday, I never actually saw all the way through. I saw bits of it when I was a projectionist, and then it's been on TV a bunch of times, I think like Film 4 and things like that, but I've never actually seen all the way through. I mean, it's a great idea. I mean, you've got like this, you know, Escape from New York, basically with Scotland, you know. Neil Marshall's a great director. I love The Descent. I loved Dog Soldiers. Centurion I actually really enjoy. I think it's an underrated movie. That's something I'd like to review in future, but I've not seen Doomsday, mate. I do apologise. Next question is from Zachary. Would you consider examining the films of Yahoo Serious? I remember really liking Young Einstein as a kid. Having rewatched it recently, I can say it's not aged particularly well. Reckless Kelly is a rather bizarre mishmash of Shakespeare, Australian historical myth and meta humour about the making of a direct-to-video movie. The guy is still alive somewhere but has fallen off the face of the earth, and most Australians are pretty ashamed of the guy from what I can tell. Please keep up the good work. Hi Zachary, I've not seen Young Einstein. I have no real knowledge of Yahoo Serious. I saw the trailer advertised as a kid on TV, and I think it was on the X-Rental tape of Batman back in 1990. I saw the poster and stuff, but it just didn't appeal to me, so I didn't really stick with it. I didn't really kind of seek it out throughout my youth, and say through the internet I've kind of come across Young Einstein again, and people have reviewed it, but it's not something that really kind of interests me, I'm afraid. Next question is from Stephen. Question number 1. Were there any minor film stars from the 80s or 90s who you think could and should have been A-list megastars, but didn't get the big film roles they deserved, or were in films that flopped and permanently derailed their careers? Andrew McCarthy springs to mind. I saw him a lot as a kid, and like Pretty in Pink, and you got Mannequin, and Weekend at Bernie's, and I thought he was, you know, I saw him a lot, and I thought, wow, he must be on a sort of trajectory of, you know, going up in the ranks of his career and going on to bigger movies, but I never saw him again really. And if you check IMDb, there's just tons of TV work and TV movies, and nothing. He has not been, as far as I'm aware, been pulled into being into a massive blockbuster or something that was very accessible to people. But yeah, so it's kind of a shame actually, because I don't recall him being a bad actor. I think he was just kind of stuck in those moments of doing those kind of teen comedies of the 80s and early 90s. So yeah, maybe you can break away from that and just kind of like try to do something else, and it didn't quite pan out. Question number 2. Do you read any film star biographies or memoirs, and what was your favourite? Biographies and memoirs. I've got a few Bill Hicks books and Christopher Reeve's biography, Still Me, and books on Spielberg and George Lucas and Martin Scorsese, but they're kind of more academic books, so I've not actually read anything recently that's really tickled my interest to sort of, you know, or seen something on the shelves that I really desperately need to read. But I've not read any books for a while actually, in terms of just something that wasn't film related. But because I've got a bunch of books just sitting on my shelf ready to be read. And like, I've got Dune I bought, which I want to read, then redo my review, which I did years ago, my retrospective on Dune, because it's not brilliant. And I've got a book on like Jack the Ripper, written by the guy who did With Nell and I, who's kind of, you know, he's got his own theory on who did it. So that's a monster book as well, so I will get round to reading them. But yeah, nothing really of interest, really, like biographies, mate. I think if I had to say one, it'd probably be one of the Bill Hicks books. I can't remember. I think it was called, was it American Society? Something like that. I can't remember the name. I do apologise. Question number 3. A lot of people hark back to the glitz and glamour of the golden age of Hollywood, but out of all the classic Hollywood film icons of the 40s and 50s, which ones do you think would be successful and still have some impact and affection if they were actually new and starting out today? I'd probably say Audrey Hepburn and James Dean. I mean, they're both actors who would probably, you know, do very well today. I mean, there's so many actors from the 40s and 50s who are just like, you know, just huge stars. So it's difficult to sort of pick and choose. But I'd pick 2, for example, Audrey Hepburn and James Dean. Next question is from Phil. What is your favourite example of where a particular film doesn't deserve the score that was produced for it? For example, mine was Omen 3. Mediocre movie, magnificent score from Jerry Goldsmith. Well, Jerry Goldsmith did so many movies in the 80s to a lot of mediocre and bad films, but his scores are always great because it's Jerry Goldsmith. You know, he's a legend, he knows what he's doing. I'd probably say King Solomon's Mines. That was a pretty naff movie, but with a great score. The next question is from Omar.
seeing as I went to my first Comic-Con in Nottingham this past weekend and I managed to get Sam J. Jones's autograph. I wondered if you had any autographs from film stars. If you have, then have you got a favourite?
I don't tend to collect autographs. I sort of bulk at the prices. There is some autographs I do want, like Christopher Reeves, which I think most Superman fans want, but it's very, very pricey because sadly he's no longer with us. Most of the autographs I want are people who have long passed away. But I do own a few, not really a few, just a couple. I've got Jean-Claude Van Damme's, I've got Brandon Routh's, and I've got Helen Slater's. I've got to dig them out at some point and frame them. Yeah, I got the Van Damme one in the late 90s. One of those, back in the day where you go for like a magazine and it would say, oh, we've got a list of all these people that you get their autographs on, we've got their addresses, and you have to sort of pay them like a check to get such and such. And I got Van Damme's address at the time and sent him a letter saying, can I have your autograph? I loved you in Street Fighter because I was a fucking idiot.
The next question is from John. I enjoyed your recent Last Crusade retrospective. What are your thoughts on the Young Indiana Jones Chronicles, and would you consider making a video about this series, much like you did for Superboy?
The Young Indiana Jones Chronicles is not something I'm a huge fan of. I watched a few episodes due to doing those retrospectives, but I thought they were a bit dry. I mean, they're very well produced, they're huge, loads of money thrown at them, but I don't know, I just wasn't really interested in learning much about Indiana Jones' backstory, and it's not Harrison Ford, it's someone else, and I didn't really see him becoming Harrison. I don't know. It was just, it was on when it was on TV as well back in the 90s. It really wasn't a thing most people kind of talked and raved about. I think it was very much a show that kind of had a lot of money thrown in it, but it just didn't quite click with its audience.
Next question is from Matt. Do you find yourself watching movies differently now than you did, say, before you started to review films? Specifically some of the smaller details, cinematography, editing, etc.
Oh, totally. I mean, when I started doing media studies in the late 90s, it kind of changed everything, because then you're sort of picking movies apart, sometimes unfairly. And, the little aspect ratios or the camera setups and stuff and the editing, once you kind of notice those things, they just won't leave your brain. So, yeah, it does somewhat take away some of your enjoyment of a movie because you end up over-analysing everything. But the one thing I get really annoyed about is aspect ratios, like continuity in series. Jurassic Park 1, 2 and 3, all 185:1 aspect ratio. Jurassic World kind of 2:1. And then Jurassic World Fallen Kingdom is 2:3:5:1. So dudes, come on, keep the aspect ratios the same. That's what it's set out. Same with Predator. Predator 1 and 2, 185. Predators 2:3:5:1, and now the Predator is 2:3:5:1. But I mean, Aliens has that like scope, 185 scope. As it were, cinema scope. But I let James Cameron off because that was budgeting, and that's what he wanted to do. So, but most times that a filmmaker should, if you look at the previous films or the previous one, just keep the aspect ratio the same.
Question 2 from Matt. Any thought in doing either a commentary or retrospective on the 1993 release, The Fugitive?
A retrospective would be good. A commentary, probably not. Not out of the question, but it's one of those things where I see it as a movie where when you're watching it, there will be a lot of moments of silence because you've discussed something else and you wait for the scene to play out. It's a very serious movie as well. So if me and Richard and Duncan had covered it, you probably have a lot of tangents with us, which some people love, but some people hate. So you may have like a serious discussion and suddenly it just goes off on a massive like tangent about something else. So it's probably wise for me to do a retrospective on that, but I don't know when, I'm afraid, Matt.
Next question is from Niall. Question number 1, just wondering, is there any movie currently in development hell that you would love to see or hold out hope will get over the line?
With the news now, Bill and Ted 3 is kind of progressing forward. That's good news. That's one film I really want to see. Tron 3, another one. I know that the third one got kind of shit canned because of John Carter had failed, I think, due to sort of the budgeting and stuff. So yeah, Tron 3 is another one I want to see. I mean, they did do like a sort of fake teaser, didn't they, or like a viral video saying like Flynn lives or something like that. But yeah. Bill and Ted 3 and Tron 3.
question number 2, how did the invitations to go to Comic-Cons come about?
Well, getting invited to Comic-Cons, in the past, we had struggles sort of getting responses, but once I met Robin Block, who had been following my work for a couple of years, we kind of met up in early January or late January, and we discussed about like doing more, doing shows outside of YouTube, do things on Comic-Cons and stuff in front of an audience. And I said, he had all business and media experience of over a decade, so he said, look, I'll handle it, I'll speak to these people, and he got it all sorted in the space of a couple of weeks, which really surprised me. So as long as you know how to approach these people and say the right thing, but also you've got to have something interesting to offer. And thankfully, the people at MCM, loved my work and said, yeah, get on board. So after doing the first show and doing the one recently, I think we've been asked to come back in Manchester in July, but I need to confirm that. But yeah, so if you've got something interesting that's going to work for MCM or a Comic-Con in general, then it shouldn't be too difficult, but you have to make sure you approach the right people and say the right thing, and not just do it willy-nilly and a bit unprepared, which we kind of were in the past. But yeah, it's been fun. So I'm not sure if it's going to be something I will continue to do, but it really depends if my audience is big enough to sort of justify doing them. But it's a different ball game. Depends what Comic-Con you're at. It may just be everyone there has no interest in sort of film discussion. They're just there for anime, or just cosplaying in general. Just want to stand there and take photos of each other. I don't know. It's one of those things. But yeah, so it's all good fun doing these, because it's just like do a little bit of work and the rest is partying.
Question number 3, any chance you pitch up in Dublin?
Dublin, no plans, mate, at the moment. If we get invited to do a Comic-Con in Dublin, then we'll be there with a pint of Guinness.
Next question is from Frederick. Hello Oliver, if you could build your own A-team consisting of 4 movie characters regardless of genre, which ones would you choose and why?
I don't know. The Terminator, Roger Rabbit, Lenny Luthor from Superman 4, and Luke Davro from Universal Soldier. That'd be a great holiday, wouldn't it? Them 4 together.
Question number 2, have you ever played any tabletop RPGs when you were young?
I played Hero Quest and Space Crusade as a kid, but found it too complicated. I was like only 8 years old and I just couldn't get my head around the instructions. I was far more interested in painting the miniatures badly. I just could not paint them properly. I used the wrong miniature paint as well. I think I used like model kit paint my dad had. It's terrible. I've got Space Hulk, the 1989 board game. I loved Space Hulk as a kid. I always wanted it, but it was always kind of sold out, or they'd stopped making it at that point when I had shown interest. And I still got it. I got it a couple of years ago. I was intended to play it. I was going to do a video on it, but then that kind of got lost in the mayhem. And I did read the instructions, but I forgot how to play it. So I've got to get someone else to play it with me. So it's a 2-player game. Then I've got to teach them the instructions while refresh myself. So no, it's not something I play on a regular basis. It's not something I played for a very, very long time. But if I can get anyone to play Space Hulk with me, then I'll play it again.
Question number 3. You are a big fan of movie soundtracks. Can you find one example of a movie that was ruined by a terrible musical score?
Movies ruined by a terrible score. Not say terrible score, but 2 Van Damme films. Death Warrant, cheesy score, like a synthesizer replicating an orchestra. My friend Nick just reviewed it on his channel, so I think he discusses something similar. So yeah, go check that out. And Universal Soldier: The Return by Don Davis. The same year he did The Matrix, I believe. So look at them, listen to the Matrix score, and then listen to Universal Soldier: The Return. Completely different. It's like night and day. Universal Soldier 2 has this very cheap, like Casio keyboard sound to it. It's just awful. It's just like, obviously the guy had no money, so give him some money and you get The Matrix. Right, that is the end of the Patreon Q&A. Hope you enjoyed it. I do apologise for the lighting conditions and stuff like that. I'm usually in my studio, but I don't have the time to get to there today. What's coming up on the channel? As I said earlier, Karate Kid Part 2 and Cobra Kai series reviews. And we have the Kickstarter launching on the 1st of June. It should be on the 1st of June. We're still awaiting the trailer, but I'll keep you guys all informed. But hopefully if it does launch on the 1st of June, it's going to be exciting, doing my first sort of feature-length documentary. So fingers crossed, everything goes to plan. Okay everyone, take care and goodbye.
If you enjoyed the video, don't forget to like and subscribe. If you want to gain early access to my retrospective reviews, episodes of Fix It in Post and commentary podcasts, you can pledge to my Patreon. Thank you.